Ellen DeGeneres. She moved to the UK right around the time of the election. And she kind of made a stink about it at the time, saying, oh, you know, we love it over here and we don't like Trump. And then once Trump won, she decided we're going to stay over here. And a lot of people were saying, you know, maybe there's more to this story than you think. And why are we talking about it right now? Well, she just did another interview overseas with a UK reporter, and she made a big thing about this. She said, I moved to the UK because of Trump. And she confirmed that the election result influenced her move to the UK, where she says life is just better. So she and her wife, Portia de Rossi, they said, we got here the day before the election and woke up, lots of texts from our friends with crying emojis, of course, you know, crying. You know, I gotta say, it's amazing because people on the right don't do that and don't act like that. No way, that actually doesn't happen. No, we actually hold our heads high and we move on. But, you know, they like to cry, and that's their stick, and they've got their crying emojis. She couldn't believe it. He got in. And she said, we're like, you know what? We're staying here. So now she's got her little farmhouse in the UK with her sheep and this, that, and the other. She likes to walk us around and show us the sheep.
This is what's happening now. They're in. Hey, that's not your food.
I don't really care. But anyway, she's very proud of the chickens and the sheep and the whole farm life that she and Portia have created.
Go on out.
Lovely. But it leaves everybody with more questions because you see, she had a special kind of friendship with P. Diddy. In fact, I went back and I looked at a whole bunch of clips. I didn't really want to show you any of them because it just kind of gives you the creeps, because in some cases there were kids and like they were on her set and she's introducing them to Diddy and you're like, you know, knowing what we've heard, etc. But it just kind of was a little bit unsettling. And you've seen some of the texts. I've showed you guys actually some of those texts where she was wishing him a happy birthday. And it was kind of just awkward and weird. And she had a whole bunch of weird little nicknames for him. They were really good friends. Like, what is that about? And she talked about his parties. So she was at the parties, which just kind of means like, okay, did she go to the UK because she's trying to avoid extradition? I mean, God forbid, like somehow she gets entangled in any of this. It's something that came up on an Australian TV show around the time that it happened. I want to share with you what the commentator said. She really has no love lost for Ellen, who she thinks is a very miserable person on top of it all. I think she also said a fat cow. I love the Australians. Here we go.
The best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But, you know, she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump. We want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that.
Right. All right. We'll let her say that rather than me. But that's the question. Is she hightailing it out? Because, you know, she could at least fight extradition a little bit, right? They wouldn't have to cough her up right away. I mean, we do have certain treaties and stuff, but she might have a leg to stand on, especially the way that actually works is if you feel for some reason that you might be politically vulnerable or vulnerable maybe because you're gay. And if you're gay, like you can't go back to the U.S. because you're worried that like Donald Trump's going to do something. That's actually one of the things she's been planting in the media as well, which really kind of cracks me up because I'm like, wow, she really doesn't want to go back. Like really, really doesn't want to go back to the point where she's now floating these ideas that maybe gay marriage is going to be canceled, et cetera. And that's why she can't go back. This is their house. I mean, this is amazing in Montecito. And I guess they're trying to sell it. They sold their other property for $96 million. Here's one of my questions. Has she renounced her citizenship? Because if she did, she'd have to fork over half of that to the U.S. government. You know, you can check in, but you can't check out. All those people that want to come and live here, If they make any money, they got to fork over 50% before they exit to Uncle Sam. It's all your real estate, all your equity holdings, everything. If you're very, very wealthy, it makes it kind of tough. And guess what? If you're American, you still have to pay taxes when you're over there in the UK, Ellen. So it's not a tax thing. She's choosing to live there while simultaneously planting it in the media that she can't come back because she might be vulnerable. Her marriage might be null and void. Think about that. And then think about the relationship she had with Diddy. And again, I'll play it again. It's a short clip, just 15 seconds. I want you to hear what the Australian TV reporter is saying.
The best one for me is Ellen DeGeneres, who is, by the way, a very nasty person. I've had dealings with her in Australia. Could I tell you some stories about that cow? But anyway, good riddance to her. But she was quite friendly with that P. Diddy bloke, wasn't she?
Well, this is why I say release the Diddy files.
Yeah.
Release the Diddy files. Come on, Donald Trump. We want to know whose name.
So maybe she's hightailing out of there before all that is.
Maybe. She was kind of friendly with him. And she, I've showed you guys some of the tweets when she would wish him a happy birthday. He made multiple appearances on her show. And even Elon Musk has actually weighed in on this, and people have criticized him, saying, oh, you're just fueling this whole conspiracy theory about the two of them. And, maybe it is, but I would say that it's a bit bizarre that she's gone to the UK, said she's not going back, and has now planted the seed that maybe she couldn't go back because she would be vulnerable as a gay person. So Elon Musk actually took a few jibes at her, especially around the time that it came out about Diddy and his, freak off parties and this, that, and the other. One of the things that she wrote was, happy birthday, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, or as I call him, Cuddle McSnuggle stuff. You don't need to know why. That was her post to him. And people are like, well, what the heck did that mean? Like, Cuddle Mick. Do we have it? Let me show it to you. Because it's just weird. Okay. It's just weird. And again, some people are saying, well, maybe this is an extradition treaty type thing. If she comes to the UK, she could be safer. I mean, there might have been other places that would be even more safer for her, more safe, I should say. But this is the tweet. Happy birthday, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, or as I call him, Cuddle McSnuggle stuff. And you don't need to know why. And like I said, he was on her show a lot, including some clips with kids that have resurfaced, and people are, concerned about that, upset about that. I don't really know what to think about any of this, but I bring this up, and we've thought about Kash Patal and what he may or may not know in this particular situation, and I think he probably has the answer somehow, some way. Don't you think it's weird? I'm just going to throw this out there. Don't you think it's weird that James Comey's daughter was the lead investigator on Diddy and on Epstein? Like, how does that happen? Did she have a little special niche of like people that had tapes in their house? I find it very strange. You probably find it strange too. I'm just looking at the comments here right now because that is, and a lot of people believe that maybe she had to hightail it out right before the election. So I don't know. But again, Kash might know a little bit more. And at some point, I know he's got a lot on his plate. At some point, we might want to be asking those questions. I'm just reading. You guys, you don't like either one of those. Neither do I. Either of those characters. But it is interesting. Thomas Bailey writing that perhaps one of the reasons he didn't get convicted was because of Comey's daughter. Now, that's interesting. They did fire her, by the way, the other day. And that didn't surprise me entirely that they fired her. They also fired somebody else in the administration who was married to the guy that started the Ice Busters app. Because, the Ice Busters app is basically tracking ICE and tracking all the people that work for ICE and the DHS and therefore putting them in jeopardy. And so that one kind of made sense to me too. But wow, very, 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 very strange stuff. You know who else is running scared right now? One Adam Schiff in serious trouble because looks like he pulled a good old Letitia James. Adam Schiff is in big trouble. Donald Trump writing over the weekend. It turns out, and he put this thing out. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, yeah. This is the mortgage document. The mortgage document where he actually said, sorry, I got to lean in really close here. He said that the property was his principal residence. Look at that, number 2. It's highlighted in yellow. What was Adam Schiff thinking? So you can save a lousy, 0.3% on your mortgage rate? I get it all adds up over time. Believe me, I'm not one to ever leave money on the table, but for goodness sakes, you got to be legal in how you do this, Adam. What was that about? He actually seems kind of nervous too. He issued this statement over the weekend that was, to me, a little bit bizarre. He went off on how dare the president say all these things, but he didn't actually say what he was saying, I guess because he didn't want to talk about, that he might have been saying he had a primary residence in Maryland when his real primary residence was in California because he was the representative from California at the time, all to save a few bucks. Here he is. He looks nervous. Oops. Here he is.
So I literally just got off the plane and, of course, read all the clips about what just took place in the Oval Office. I can't think of a more shameful display by a president of the United States in my lifetime. And when I think about all that the greatest generation did, the values that it fought for, when I think of what the country has stood for since, how we have defended democracy around the world, how we have come to the aid of our allies and friends, to see that all so shamefully betrayed is just heartbreaking. What will it take to awake the conscience of this country? Is this now what America is? We are reduced to some kind of a extortionary protectionist racket where a leader of a country whose citizens have fought and died valiantly standing up to a Kremlin dictator is so abused, where we stand for nothing but using our might to extort the weak or the vulnerable. Is this where we are right now? Because this is what we witnessed in the Oval Office today.
Okay. Does this make you mad? It makes me a little bit mad because I'm feeling pretty gaslit by now. I'm sitting there going, wait a second. Did you not see what Tulsi just uncovered? Okay, so Donald Trump's got some mean tweets out there. You knew this one was coming. Everybody said, well, I'll take a few mean tweets so I can have lower gas prices, lower egg prices, and a safer economy and a safer country, etc. But it's like, Adam, what are you talking about? You're upset because you just got allegedly caught in a bit of a jam. Looking for a lower mortgage rate, you said that Maryland was your primary residence, even though you were the congressman at the time from California. Unbelievable. It's like he pulled a Letitia James. Letitia, who also has it coming to her one way or another. I'll tell you, look at the polls. She's suffering. You look at those numbers, my gosh, the unfavorable and the do not know or have no opinion, that actually adds up to more than the favorable. I think Letitia's going to be out of a gig pretty soon, and I think she feels the heat, which is why she's getting really, 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 she's like scripted. She's learned her lines, and she's taking coaching lessons from Rev Sharpton, who's sitting there, yes, sister, right there in the background. She's learning something along the way. She's repetitive, though. It's always the same stuff. Just take a good look.
And you want me to sit in my seat and stand idly by and allow this craziness to happen? You can come after me if you want, but you elected me to stand up. You elected me to use the law. You elected me to go to court. You elected me to continue to challenge this administration. You elected me to stand up for the least of God's children. You elected me to continue fighting on, and I will fight on.
Maybe, or maybe you'll get voted out. Because I've seen the polls, and you're not doing so well. I mean, maybe if you somehow come to Colbert's rescue, that'll help. Not. I don't think so. You see, Americans have made their decision, and New Yorkers aren't that different from the rest of Americans. I mean, maybe Manhattan is a little thing unto itself, but you know what? The rest of New York has no use for Letitia James. The rest of New York has no use for The View or Colbert or CNN or any of these things. The rest of the state, The rest of the country wants honesty and truth. And they expect that in their leaders, and they expect that in their media. And that's what you will always get right here from me on the Trish Regan Show. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, do your part. Make sure you tell everybody we are here. It is a big deal. We are getting closer and closer every day to 1 million. I'm thrilled that you're here, part of that with me. We will resume the conversation and the news cycle again tomorrow. More coming your way throughout the afternoon into the night, and again live tomorrow.